Oh my God.
Eleni, this time we will start streaming. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. The joke is usually we start the show, we start discussing, and then we remember that we have to stream it. But in your case, we have started it. We have done it early.
So, dear friends, we have a person from a very unconventional and unfamiliar sector of the film industry today with us.
Hello, everyone.
This is Mr. Geetha Sadasivan. Hari, mute everybody for a minute. Sorry about that. Hari, we usually have every week a talk by some film personality from some aspects of the film industry, and it has been inspiring our students. As you know, our students are from English literature. Dear friends, my first encounter with amazing personality is when one of my students is Robert Browning. And then he introduced me to Hari, a film curator, and I never really knew about that aspect of it. Was amazing hearing about you and the work that you do. And I'm sure today our students will be thrown into a totally new world or aspect of this amazing media world.
Eleni,
thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, Eleni, to interrupt you.
Mr. Anand.
Eleni, can you just repeat that? Because
yes.
you had a connection error and we couldn't hear that. How you came to...
Yes. Yes. I came to know about Hari through my student Abhilash Babu. He is a very brilliant previous student of mine. He has contacted you also, Anand, if you remember. He made an anthology film on the play and on the poems, the dramatic monologues of Robert Browning, set in Kerala, in Kerala situations, with people from contemporary Kerala society. And it was so brilliant to see the stories of Robert Browning from Renaissance Italy transported to our culture. And Hari is helping Abhilash with film festivals. And then I came to know about the great work that Hari is doing as a film curator. I'm really eager to know more about it. I'm sure this will inspire a lot of us who are present here today. Over to you, Anand.
Thank you, Dr. Kalyani. Hari, as she has said right now, the attempt of this, the effort that we are making through this series, Let's Talk Film, is to introduce students to different aspects related to filmmaking, the art behind it. Because almost every one of them are literature students, so they are in a creative space. And that's why we are more excited to have you, host you in this show. So we have named it as Spacing the Story because the role of the editor is what we would like to talk in detail. And as for you, Hari, you inspire us in many ways. That, like, you are not just an editor. You are a film. You play many roles that are related to the film and film-related events. So we will come to that in later. But then to start with, we will start talking about your career as an editor. How did it all start? How did that remarkable journey begin? You're mute, Hari. You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm really sorry about that. Yeah. And first of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me here. I'm really humbled to be in a space like this. But I can see there are a lot of people logged into the session. Thank you all. To answer your question, there have always been an interest to cinema because my father used to watch a lot of movies, and he used to take us at least one movie a week in the early times of my childhood. So when I was in secondary school, I got to know about a person who's a senior of my college. I mean, who was studying in Marivenes that time, where I eventually ended up having my degree from. So he introduced me into the world of cinemas. I can surely say he's the very first mentor for my career. He once showed me the movie Cinema Parody, so I think you all know that film. And that little boy got awestruck by watching that movie. I didn't quite understand the language because even though it had subtitles, but that movie actually made me think about that. I also want to make films like this, or I want to be a part of filmmaking. And I didn't know anything about cinema that time, but I had this. I had this. What do you say? I somehow wanted to end up with film in some aspect of film. So later, after finishing my schools, I applied for mass communication degree course in Marivenues, and that led me coming to Trivandrum was a very big turning point in my life, in my personal life and career. I was fortunate enough to end up with eminent technicians in the filmmaking like B. Ajit Kumar. He was editing Adur Sir's films that time. He used to edit K.P. Kumar and Adur Gopalakrishnan. And I think some of you might know him. He's not that popular, but he has won 3 national awards and several state awards. It was like a Dronacharya Ekalavya situation. I was living in the space where he had a studio, and at nights I go around to his studio and watch him doing things, and I had no idea how to use an editing software in a computer. I was just learning bits and bits of filmmaking and mass communication. And later, after several months or so, I started picking up a little bit from him by watching him. And there was it was in 2010, and YouTube tutorials weren't that popular that time, and we were a generation. And at that time, it was not a common thing for us to go to YouTube and learn things, and nobody taught us there is a way that you can learn things from YouTube. So I picked bits and bits of information and developed a very basic skill of editing by watching him. That's how I ended up in this field. If, if if I start talking about how I started or how I began this journey, I might go on and on. So I think to answer your question, this is how my journey started.
Okay, now when you are at the editing table, where do you start? Like a film is basically a director's art. So when you mentioned very talented editors like Ajit, we are speaking about a film by Adur Gopalakrishnan. We are speaking a film by K.P. Kumar. So basically, it is a director's art. Yeah. So what is the role of the editor? Is it the way in designing the story, the way director wants it, or where does the editor as an artist step
in? So there is one thing I have to mention is, yes, generally speaking, or aesthetically or academically speaking, film is a director's art, but doesn't necessarily have to be. Practically, there are a lot of elements. For some movies, I'm not saying this because I am so proud of my profession and all, that this is a practical scenario. Some movies are actually born in editing table. The script might be a different thing. The orientation of the director would have been a different thing, but certain films will have its real birth in the editing table. So apart from that, let's just stick to the question as film as the directors are. The process of editing starts with, obviously, it starts with reading the script, the textual instructions of a film, and most of the time the very early stage of a script is a literature form, is in its literature form. It's a very basic text. It doesn't have any technical information in that. So we read the script, understand the story, understand the intention of the director to how to tell the story. And the second and the very important stage of film editing is watching the footages. We watch the footages several times. For a 2-hour movie, we might have to watch more than 400 hours of footages. I mean, the number of takes. There will be an editing script that which directs us into which shot is the okay one, which is the NG one, not good one. We only have to see the good ones, but still, for as I have seen with my teachers and my seniors and me myself do watch all the footages. So apart from reading the script, when we sit on the table, when we sit in front of a computer, we start with watching the footages. We watch it again and again and again and again. Then can I go a bit technical?
Yeah.
Okay. So then the next stage is ordering the footages. So the conventional way of ordering the footages, we order it first as day order. So we'll be shooting scene 7 and it's fourth shot as the first day and the first shot of filmmaking, according to many scenarios. Maybe the actor is there only for that day, maybe the location is only available for that day. So the shooting of film is not sequential. It is done according to many factors. So first we order the footages according to the day of shooting. Day 1, they shot all these scenes and all these shots. So we make a day order first. Then we pick shots and scenes from the days and make it into a scene order. So first scene, all these shots, all these clips belongs to the scene 1. So it comes here, and then scene 2, then scene 3. So the second order is scene order. Then within the scene, we order the shots according to the shooting script. There will be a shooting script saying this is the first shot, and this is the second shot, and this is the third shot, and this is the alternative shot for the first one. It could be a close shot for a complementing a wide shot, or a reaction to the dialogue of one person who's presented in shot 1. So we order it according to the short order. There is a short order and there is a short script given to us by the assistant directors or the director itself, which explaining which are the shots are good and which are the, there'll be a clip name on digital. I'm talking about digital filmmaking. If you all know, there'll be a clip name for a shot we shoot in a mobile phone or a DSLR camera, or
basically the file name.
Yeah, the file name. So that file name is the technical address of that particular shot, and that file name will be a file, say for example, say 001. File name 001 will be scene 7's first shot. So we place it there, first shot, scene 7's first shot. Then 0014 will be the second shot of that particular scene. Then so we build a shot order, and that order, when we digitally do it, that order is called a timeline or a sequence. So that's when the shape of the film the film is getting shaped that time, when we can watch the whole thing, and it'll give us an idea of how the story develops, how is it going, and what is the approximate duration of the film. Then the next stage is actually editing. That's when you start editing. That's when you trim out the unwanted bits and you shuffle all the shots and make sense with the edit. And that's when you ensure that the film is communicating well. That's when you sit with the director. all these activities before building a timeline, necessarily director shouldn't be there. We can do it alone, or for the practically there will be assistants or associate editors for an editor, so they'll be doing all these activities. Am I clear?
Yeah, at this point, my question is like a doubt that came to my mind is during the shooting time, there will be many takes and there will be one okay take.
Yeah,
Okay take that to the one or two okay takes, and but then there will be more takes that are not okay according to the director, or something might be lacking. So will you, when you are watching, when you're scene ordering it, when you're ordering the scenes, shots, will you go through all those shots, or will they be rejected, or will you get any good moment from those not okay takes?
I do. Personally, I'm an editor who watches all the footages, even though it doesn't appear on me on my okay shots bin. I go through all the shots. There are editors who are busy, who are confident about the shooting script. Or their personal choice. As a personal choice, I go through all the shots. I watch everything because I believe I can bring something that nobody expected or nobody calculated when they are shooting, or when they are writing the shooting script, or when they're preparing the report. I always go through all the shots, because, and there has been many scenarios that I got brilliant things out of the bin, out of the materials that has been rejected. And also, I've started my editing career as a documentary film editor. I later went into fiction films. So for a documentary, actually nothing is NG. NG is a technical term we use for not good. So documentaries consists of interviews and documentations, the visual representation of the research. So for a documentary, nothing is irrelevant. And also it's a very good learning process. If I don't just necessarily stick to the okay takes, and most documentaries doesn't have a script. They don't have a script. We build the documentaries in editing table. So personally, I watch all the footages, and it helps me most of the time.
Yeah, like you just said that that's your personal style. So there's one thing that comes to my mind here is you have worked with many leading editors in Malayalam industry.
Excuse me.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Leading editors of Malayalam industry right now. So do they have individual signature styles? They work in the pace, or is the pace of the film decided by the script? Or can the editor bring in their pace into that narrative?
Yes, of course they do. They, as an editor, technically and as persons themselves, they have unique styles. Persons themselves, there are editors who work only at nights. There are editors who stick to the office or official hours, and it all contributes somehow. Excuse me, can you give me a moment, please?
Yes, sure.
I'm getting a call. Sorry, I'm extremely sorry. I'm really sorry. I've got a call. So where were we? So all these editors have a unique style, and for their working patterns, and it shows on their edit, it shows on the film. So they all have a there are, if you come to commercial industry, there are editors who work with only gimmicks and for the mass entertaining movies, they have a style. And I mean, they can edit other films also. But I've made my career into the industry as a documentary film editor. Then I've edited more festival movies than commercial entertainers. So most of the seniors I've worked with also have that style. Their pace is different than a mass entertainer editor. If you take Srigar Prasad, he has a style, and Beena Paul has a style, and all those editors has different styles, and their style and their persona can contribute differently into the film.
So you can sense that style from a film. You're watching the film.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
without knowing who the editor is, you can sense whose style is this.
Since this is my profession and I've been following the editors, I can tell a bit. I mean, not accurately or, but I can.
I got it. Yeah. Even like you keep going back to your starting from documentaries, but then your filmography is quite impressive. You have done 50 documentaries and 30 short movies before moving into feature films, where you have done, I think, 10 feature films so far, right?
Yeah.
One thing that I found very interesting when you said that is like there are no good edgy shots in documentary because they have to work with the actual reality. It's not a created situation. They might be shot on the go, like there will be okay shots, shaken shots, blurry shots, but then that is it. Then you cannot change it. You cannot put the set out there and shoot it and plan it and shoot it. But then off late, Malayalam films have started redefining its design. And they have more into personal, like documentary style of film. For example, the Avasaviham film, where they created a new style of filmmaking.
Yeah.
So what is, as an editor, as you have been working from 50 documentaries, you have done short films. That we'll come to that in late detail. But art of editing short films, where you have to say a lot of things in a very short period.
Yeah.
So the change that is happening in Malayalam films, how do you view that? How do you approach that?
If I have to reply to that question quite in detail, it's just not one line of change. There are several ways. I mean, let's just take an example of Avasaviham. Avasaviham is a very unfamiliar genre. The filmmaker claims that it's a mockumentary. We haven't seen a mockumentary in Malayalam. We haven't seen. I don't know if Malayali audience are not are familiar with in the concept of mockumentary at all. So, mockumentary is a style of documenting personal stories with a bit of sarcastic element in order to tell a story which is a fiction. But there are, and its impact is quite impressive because it can really shake an audience into seeing a reality. It might be telling a story very fictitious, very unreal story, but it lets us see a harsh reality in front of us. It might be socio-political, environmental, anything. So there is a way of evolution happening in that path. And there is another way of evolution of filmmaking and film editing happening in other part, that we are telling mass entertainment stories in order to sell a bit of inspiration in real life, to impact in some kind of social, political area. And the evolution of filmmaking is not happening. And the point I'm trying to tell is the evolution is not just happening in one single path. It has several, it's like a spider web. It is evolving into several other branches. But quite impressively, Malayalam cinema and Malayalam filmmaking is growing, and it is evolving. It is adapting in a very fast rate. Since if personally, if I'm saying, since the movie Chapa Kurish, if you're familiar with that movie, since that movie, Malayalam movie is rapidly changing, and it is experimenting everything, and adapting to the world culture, adapting to it is slowly dissolving the rigidness of filmmaking, that it should stick like this. A movie, this concept or the genre should be told like this, and there should be a star in every movie, and we are far away from the star vehicle movies right now. There are movies with Mohanlal, Mammootty, and Vijay and everything, I mean, in Malayalam. But if you take these two actors, I think most of these people are familiar with them, even though they are from not from
different parts
Kerala.
of India, yeah.
Yeah, they're familiar with these two actors. 90% of the films made with these actors are star vehicle films. Though they are star vehicle films, now there is a trend that people are utilizing the popularity and the strength of these actors to tell more unique stories, like we see in Kadal, and there is a upcoming film called Malekote Valiban with Mohanlal, and it is nice. It is nice to watch that evolution.
People are experimenting with the design,
Yeah,
and the storytelling pattern.
yeah, and they're kind of utilizing, or in a way positively exploiting the actors, the fame, and then
The stature of the actors, and
yeah, yeah.
use the star vehicle. I like that phrase, the star vehicle. That the aura of the star vehicle into something new. Okay, so when it comes to editing short movies,
Hmm.
uh, do you think that the role of the editor is restricted, or is it the other way around? The responsibility is huge, much larger than a feature film, where you have to bring everything into a very small space.
It depends. For a feature film, the main difference, what I have seen in my career, the main difference is the budget, the money. For a feature film, there will be at least proper budget to complete the film. But for a short film, it is a very different scenario. It could be a collective of people made a short film with no money at all. It could be there is a producer who wants to act, and he spent 10,000 rupees to make a 5-minute film. And that scenarios can change. But most 90 or 95% of short films doesn't have appropriate budget for the filmmaking. So there are restrictions because of the budget. So they wouldn't have enough assistants or associate director who could chart the film, uh, who the when my earlier days of film editing, a trend that I have seen in short film industry, the most popular dialogue that I've heard from people who approach me with the short film is in Malayalam. ചേട്ടാ നമുക്ക് പറ്റുന്നതൊക്കെ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്, ഇനി ബാക്കിയൊക്കെ ചേട്ടന്റെ കയ്യിലാണ്. It means in the production,
we have done everything that we could do, and rest is in your hands.
Yeah, so they all think the editor is a magician, so they can fix everything in post. There is a saying, and we can fix that in the post. So that trend is more seen in the industry of short filmmaking. I can call it an industry because in Kerala, at least in Kerala, there are many short films that are happening, and if you go to YouTube, you can see millions of short films there. So as an editor, I have more freedom in a short film compared to a feature film, because the feature film, since it has a budget, since they have enough technicians and people working for the film, they'll have a proper strict chart, and you just disappeared. Hello, I think the other people can hear me. So for a feature film, we all work within a structure. There'll be a proper structure for an editor, so we just abide by that. But for a short film, I can take a bit more freedom because I have to, because most of the time I'll have to. Are you there, Anand?
Hi, Hari.
Hi.
Anand has just gone out because he lost power.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So to conclude the answer for the question, for a short film, I have more freedom and I can contribute a bit more. It necessarily shouldn't end in positively or making the farewell of the film. But as an editor or a post-production manager, as to say in a short film, because I'll be and an editor will be directing the other departments of post-production like sound design, grading, VFX, graphics, and everything. But for a feature film, there will be another person who is a post-production manager. But for a short film, because it lacks a lot of budget and a lot of technicians, the editor will be the post-production manager. So I like editing short films because I have more freedom in that, and I can bring some of my contribution into the movie and make it some way better.
Right. As a teacher of English literature, I would like to ask you something. In our literary criticism, in our approach to literary texts, we have an author-centered approach. In the beginning, we had. And then we said the author is dead. The reader-centered approaches took over. And in movies also, we had the auteur theory, where the director and his personality, his ideas could be presented in the text, and the text was the vehicle of the author and his views. In today's world, I think that is a bygone theory. We don't look for the author in the text anymore, except when the author or the director is a very famous, world famous man, or a very high profile artist. What is the exact combination that sells? What are people looking for? Is it socially reflective movies that work, or is it movies with a cause? There are all kinds of movements within the parallel cinema industry as well as in the mainstream industry. There are many parallel cinema people, small independent filmmakers moving into the mainstream also sometimes, because the mainstream has become more porous and it takes in more experiments than before. What is the current trend that works? And if some of our students want to make movies, they have already worked in movies. Some of them are people who have tried their hands at direction. What would you tell them is the current trend? What are the, formulae that work?
Yeah. It's a very complex question, and the answer would also be so it all depends on the audience. We have bench audience there, we have intellectual audience there. The pool of audience is a very wide pool. There are a lot of people. You can't just commonly address a bunch of audience as intellectual audience, or they all want typical entertaining masala movies. They all want to see their favorite actors on the screen. We can't really say that. If we just take our country as an example, our country is known in abroad as Bollywood in general, because very few people who are really film enthusiastic and they who watch the film festivals closely, they know the Bengali industry, the Marathi industry, and very few know the Malayalam industry also. But our country is often portrayed as Bollywood industry. The Bollywood industry is very personally, if I say, they don't make good films in a big amount. They all have the majority of films they make are entertainers, which are money oriented and money intended movies. So our majority pool of audience is kind of conditioned to see that kind of movies. But when we take Bengali films, Marathi films, Malayalam films, and Tamil films also as a trend of making offbeat movies, which can succeed in theaters like Pariyerum Perumal and that kind of movies. So the trend is always changing, and there is not. I'm not. If you think, what is the audacity? Like, what is the? I don't think I can authentically comment on this, but what I think is the trend is always changing. It can.
I would like to modify my question and ask you this then. As a film curator, would you be able to take the movies to the right audience? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Is it even possible? How? Yeah. Are there different platforms where different audiences can be catered to? Is that how it works?
Essentially, as a film curator, that's my job. The job is to present the movie, the right movie to the right audience. But being a standalone, an individual film curator, I actually struggle to do that, because if we take a film, if we take a parallel film which is brilliantly made, but it doesn't have any actors or doesn't have any technical qualities which is required to be presented on a box office, but it is a good film. The only way I can make that film public, or I can bring that film to the right audience is by sending that to film festivals across the world. So there are a lot of ways that we can send films to the different festivals across the world. And the other thing is conduct film festivals locally and conduct screenings locally. But it requires a lot of legwork, manpower, and financial support. Most of these parallel movies struggle to make it into the general public or box office because they lack money. That's a very, very huge thing. So as a curator who only works with parallel films or festival films, to say, I really struggle to bring these movies into the right audience. But I try my best as I can. I conduct like 3 or 4 festivals, film festivals across the state. I work as an artistic director for a festival. Every year I try to bring good movies into that festivals because I have the authority there. And like the movie we said about Abhilash, your student Abhilash, we try to conduct local screenings at institutes, at colleges, because that's the right audience for that movie. So that's the job. That's a job, but it is not going well in our industry, because our industry it all depends on money. If you see only that aspect, we need money to do a lot of things. We can make good movies within a collective, but to make it reach into the right audience, we again need resources. So have I answered?
Yeah, I understand.
Kalyani.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the question is, when you are curating a film festival, I noticed that you pointed out that some sort of films are you have the audience also in mind. Like a film of academic interest will be suited for a college, a screening at a college, or a festival at a college, whereas a film with commercial elements will work with a common audience, where you are organizing a festival for common audience. So when you're curating a film festival, what are things that you consider? Do you take into account the audience or their exposure to good films, or the type of films they are expecting? So do you get that feedback? Do you collect those feedback before you curate the films?
Curating a film to festivals is a different thing, and programming a film festival is another thing. So when I work on, I I've had the opportunity to work as assistant programmer for the IFFI International Film Festival of India, and I've been working for the past 11 years in the IFFK, International Film Festival of Kerala. So when I work with film festivals, which are bigger film festivals, they have a style. They have established a style. For IFFI, it has a style. IFFK, it has a style. So when programming for film festivals, we really don't care about the audience. We care about the films. We care about the good films which are produced within that year span. We ask with curators, not like me, bigger curators, experienced curators around the world for their suggestions, and we invite films in the competition sections. So we'll have a collection of up to 400, 600 films a year, and we pick only 160, 150, between 150 and 200 films for the film festival. So for programming for a film festival, as a film programmer for a big film festival, we really don't have to care about the audience, because the audience know how this film festival is going to be, and the delegates who are attending to the film festival will know what to expect from the film festival. But when it comes to a smaller festival, like very local or regional film festivals we conduct every year around across the state, there is a film festival in Kollam, a nearby district. It is called KIF, Koilon International Film Festival. It is organized by the Youth Commission and the Kerala University Union. So they are students. The majority of the audience is students, and they are comparatively little students. I mean, they're all in degree students and PG students, and we have to account for their emotional maturity or their appreciation sense of the movies. When if we introduced a movie of Godard into these audience, people might not be that interested to watch a movie of Godard or Fassbinder or Herzog. But we can introduce Tarantino films to them and make their way to world movies, to watching or appreciating world movies. And we can introduce films like Bicycle Thieves or Cinema Paradise, or that kind of films will work within them. They wouldn't be expecting that kind of movies, but we can capture their attention by introducing world movies, but a bit of entertainment in that. So there we have to come a few ladders down to think about the possibility, the possible audience, the probable audience of the film festival. And the other thing is curating a film for the festival. That I think I have answered that question in Kalyani's. Excuse me, Anand, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Anand, you're
Yeah,
muted.
Yeah. So there's because there is a huge difference between curating a film festival and programming a film festival. You have explained it really well. But then my question is, when you're programming a festival which is not film festival per se, as in IFFK, you have been associating with the Madhurumi International Festival of Letters, the car festival. So what is your role there as a programmer?
Actually, I am a jack of all trades. So I do very different things at very different industries and very different events. So for Madhubhumi Festival of Literature, I had one role which is closely associated to my area, which is films. That has been curating the Black Box. There is a venue called Black Box where we show films. So every year we'll have a topic. Last year it was poems, films about poems, and films made from poems, and films about poets and everything. So there it is the same. I curate festivals. I bring films which is closely related to the topic to the event. And the other job was for the festival, for the literature festival, was completely different, which is associating with the other programmers and curators. We make sure that this orator or writer or author is present in the festival. They're right on time for their session, and documenting these sessions both in its transcript form and the video form. It is completely different. It has nothing to do with films. So I had a team of 60 people last year. They were session producers, which they attend every sessions and they make minutes of every session. What are the questions asked? What have they said in the sessions, and which helps to make a library of these sessions and the information shared by the authors and the curators and the moderators in the session. And we also video document every sessions. So what I've done last year for the Madhubhumi festival is I have made a text library of every sessions, and which is closely connected to the video library. So if we want to search and see what Shashi Tharoor has said in this particular session about this particular topic, we can just go to the transcript and find the time code in that particular video. So you can go to that video and get the video clip of that particular statement he made. That was the main job for me. And others comparatively smaller jobs was coordinating the public relation activities of the festival and making PR.
Yeah, hello.
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear. Tell me. Hello.
So Ananya has a question here. Ananya, are you online?
Yes, sir. Am I
Ananya?
audible?
Yeah, you are. Please.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Hari sir. I was just curious that earlier you were mentioning that you started working with documentaries. In fiction, I understand that the editor's roles, like the major role, is in the post production, of course. But I am just curious that is the role of the editor in the pre-production stage as well? And if it is, how much involvement is there with the team like that?
Necessarily doesn't have to be. It's up to the director or the filmmaker who's going to make the documentary. If he or she intends to include the editor in its pre-production, we'll be there and we can make a lot of difference in the shoot or the production. But doesn't happen that often. For the feature films, for the fiction, it is happening more and more these days, because films has been evolved into a very technical thing these days.
Right.
For a documentary, the major pre-production area is the research. So technician doesn't have any big role in the research. But when we are planning the shoot and what to shoot, what to take, and how to approach, there is another genre called docu-fiction. I think you're familiar.
Exactly, the ones that are very famous on Netflix these days. Like.
Yeah. That way of filmmaking, then obviously the role of editor is quite contributing when he is approached on the pre-production stage. So we can decide, we can discuss and decide how to craft these fictional area of these documentaries, like if that the original true story has been told to an editor, make real contributions to how to craft this fictional area of a docu-fiction. So
right.
But in our country, or in especially in Malayalam, it doesn't happen often. But as you said, for a Netflix kind of docu-fiction, the role of editor in the pre-production stage can really contribute to the whole project.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Like, does that also mean that the directors have to be accommodative to take suggestions from the editor
Of
in the
course,
pre-production stage?
yes. He's ultimately the highest authority is the director itself, director or herself. So we get our chance in the pre-production only if the director decides to.
Yeah, then I go back to something that you said earlier, where in the short film, usually the main constraint will be the budget. There will be shoestring or minimum budget uh, and production material, and that is left to you for the editor to create the switch the magic wand and make a film out of it. So
Yeah.
when you are given a project like this with minimum rushes in your hand, how do you go about it?
Oh, that's kind of a logistic creative nightmare for an editor. But most of the times, after long hours of brainstorming, which is really interesting for me, because I like that process. I really like that process because most of the time this happened with inexperienced filmmakers. So I'll be the elephant in the room. So that process is really when there is a very minimum footages, which is if you don't have enough footage to tell the story, no magic one can make anything happen. But the technical quality. So, for example, a wide shot, it has been very poorly choreographed and very poorly composited. I can scale that shot up to a bit and make a better frame out of it. So, and there is a very wobbly shot. I can stabilize that shot a bit or give a bit of slow motion to that and make it a better shot. That kind of technical interventions really help the film. And but in terms of storytelling, I can do very little. But sometimes if there is a variety of footages is there which can give me another angle to the context, I can make something happen with this editing skills. So, but it's different in every film. We can set a standard for that. Some films lack technical qualities of visual technical quality. Some lack audio quality. Some has poor audio. Some has very poor shots, and some doesn't have a proper order in the film in the shooting. It depends on the film. But once it is shot and they have ran out of their budget and they can't do a reshoot anymore, or they can't bring those actors once again, the only option is left to make something happen in the edit. And that's quite challenging, and most of the time we somehow wrap the films and make it something. And that's an interesting.
Have there been any instances where you suggested that no, this has to be reshot?
Yeah, of course, there are many incidents, and they
works better when you are recreated. Sorry. Hello. You didn't get my question. Like, I asked whether there have been instances in your career where you insisted on a shot being reshot, so that's the only way to save the narrative.
Yes. There are many.
You asked the director to get a better shot.
Yes. And there were many incidents that we had to shelve the films because they lack enough shots, and which there were at least more than 5 films that the director and the whole production team thought that they can make a film out of these footages. And when they approached me and I watched the films and I shot them, there is no possibility to make a film out of this. You can't have a film from these footages. So either you have to reshoot everything or you have to shelve the project. There were many incidents like that, and there were more than 5 or 10 films that we had to shelve just or I withdraw from the project because I can't do that much of magic in that film.
You can salvage the film.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here, Nidhi has a question here. I think it's connected to what we are speaking right now. Nidhi, are you online?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I want to ask that can you suggest 2 or 3 films in which you have worked as an editor or like that are close, which are close to your heart, which we can see?
For the feature films, it's kind of difficult because the feature films that I worked was festival films. I can personally share those films, but you can't find them online or in any OTT. But definitely watch Avasi Vyoma. That's a film I work with. If you haven't seen that, definitely watch Avasi Vyoma. And if you want to watch the films that I've edited, I think I can personally share the Vimeo links and the links of the movie.
Yeah, sir. So please do that because we know that we have entertainers films like to see, but as you said that there is lack of audience. So like to create that awareness, we want to see those films or be the part of them. So please share.
So I'll definitely share. Also, I think if you're interested, I can prepare a list of parallel films which are not so popular, which you can find in online or that I suggest, which I recommend you to watch. I can make a list of films like that.
Yeah, sir. Please do that, please.
Yeah, Hari, like you can share that list with me because we have a film appreciation session. Like we watch classic films and we just talk about this, so we can discuss all these films there also.
Sure. Even though
And
go for classic films or offbeat films, if for a general public to watch those films, that film has to have a basic popularity at least, or it should be on an OTT platform, or it should be on YouTube. But then there are many films which you can't find online, which are good films, which are really good films, which end up within the hands or hard drive of a curator or the filmmaker. So I think we can create a platform for films like that for people to watch, at least in the people who are presented here.
splendid. That's a beautiful suggestion. Anjali Vakumare, are you online? You can ask a question.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Anjali.
My question is, there are movies based on real person's life story. Although it's the true stories, but they are a little bit fictionalized. But documentaries, I think, show the most harsh reality. Is it true, sir?
Yeah, of course it is, because for a documentary, there is a very recent documentary in Netflix. It's called Curry and Sign It. It's about an incident happened in Kerala. So it's an ongoing police case. For a filmmaker to make a documentary inspired on the context of documentary, the inspired from true events doesn't stand, because it shouldn't be an inspiration. It should be a documentation of real events or retelling the history. So for a documentary, which is how do I say it? Documentary should be documentation of real incidents or real lives or history. It should be portrayed real things. You can depend the technicalities of fiction to tell a story which is real, which should be real. The story should be real. There should be an authenticity to the story you're telling through a documentary. Unless otherwise it's a misleading information. There are documentaries which you can watch in History Channel, which they claim that aliens are real, and they've been spotted UFOs and everything. They claim to be real, but they are misinforming the audience. But so technically or ethically, a documentary should be about truth. It should say real incidents as it is.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. That's why we can use in the research as a reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sir.
Like you publish a paper, you should present your references in the end, and then the bibliography in the end. For a documentary, also you have to cite your sources, and or the people who are living with who has some relations with the story or the concept we shared in the documentary can sue you, can file a suit against you. So, and also the public can identify that the thing you said in a documentary is not true, and the filmmaker can be cursed because of that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so like it's been an interesting journey talking about your career, Hari. Like you have opened up so many possibilities of being an editor. Yeah, Nidhi, you have one more question. Please go ahead, Nidhi.
Sir, I want to ask that if we want to enter in this world of making documentaries, what all are the basic requirements? Like, what all it needs to start with this process of making documentaries? Any suggestions by you?
I'm answering very casually to inform you. There is a bit of disturbance.
Somebody please mute.
I'll come to you, Nidhi. Hello, is it?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
muted. Yeah, please, Hari, go ahead.
If I answer very informally, you just need a camera to enter into documentary filmmaking. You don't have to have a script. You don't have to have a story. You don't have to have a producer. You don't need actors. You don't need anything to make a documentary. If you see a person who's dumping garbage in your neighborhood every single day, and who's not listening to the authorities or the people in the neighborhood, you can just shoot that process with a couple of shots which is happening. You can shoot them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and just you don't have to show his face, and you juxtapose every shot, and put the title Monday on Monday's footage, put the title Tuesday on Tuesday, and as on, and you stitched all those 7 days together. That's a document. So you don't.
Yeah, and one thing more, sir. Like, how we can contact you? Like any email address or something. If we want you to work as an editor with us.
Yeah, sure. I think Anand can help you with my contacts, and
Okay, sir.
Yeah. We can share the details where you can get in touch with Hari, Nidhi.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay. Hari, we had Don Palatra as our guest in one of the lectures, and where there he explained how he made that everything about film, which was made out of random shots that he had recorded during the COVID period. Then he made a film out of it. So when you're describing this thing, that I was reminded of what Don told us. So, yeah, there is one more question from Ayushi Mittal. Ayushi, are you online? Ayushi? Well, she's not in a position to unmute. I think she has asked Hari. Yeah, sure. Ayushi, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I was asking if there could be cuts and editing suggested by the director or the cinematographer, even in such documentaries, due to any political issues or the public opinion.
Yeah, there are scenarios, even though there is not imperatively because of public opinion, all the crew members can make suggestions if they're valid, and if they make sense, they can make suggestions to the edit, and we can work accordingly. And there are scenarios that we have to go back to the editing table again. A film is released or ready to release, we have to cut down a particular shot, or for a documentary we have got a more important interview from another person after the process of editing is completed. So we have to go back to the editing and stitch that.
Even after its release, you have to do that.
Yeah, there are scenarios for a feature film, for commercial films. There are scenarios that the court has been intervened to trim out some shots, which is problematic or making some issues in the public, or for a film, for like recently there is this director in the Tamil who was making mass films. I don't know. I don't remember his name, but as public opinion, as a result of public opinion, or as a result of court interventions, or as a result of box office failure, or as a result of box office success and if there is a person who's had a cameo role in the film, and the people really liked his performance, and somehow fortunately the filmmaker had more footages of or more screen time of that particular actor in his hand or in his disposal, he can go back to the movie and add more of his screen time to the film and re-release it. But there are many clerical and technical things that has to be cleared before re-releasing a commercial movie. You have to re-censor it. You have to go back to the censor board and make an amendment.
Documentaries?
For a documentary, you can do that freely, but if it is already appeared on a public platform, we have to you have to recall it. I mean, you could call it back and re-upload the new version. That doesn't happen oftenly, but if a film appeared on Netflix and there are some shots or some areas created and inflicted a problem in the society, you definitely have to remove that and re-upload the film, or your film might get rejected from the platform.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, Hari, for the long conversation that we had. DK, you, as I've told earlier, you have opened up the immense possibilities that goes well beyond the what we knew as an editor, film editor. You opened up the possibilities of a film curator or a programmer. So, and as you have seen that people are interested in working, they want your details and start working with you. So thank you. Thanks a lot for being here, spending our time with us and answering our questions and explaining things. Kalyani, as we wind up.
Great pleasure, Hari.
Thank you. And this is really humbling, and I'm really happy to be with you all. And thank you for calling me. And I never expected this to be this interesting.
And you are the I was saying you are the first guest in our Let's Talk Films to walk away with some prospective business. All the others were inspiring our students.
I thank you for that, and I look forward to working with the young people.
And I should say, we don't have just students here. There are people who are interested, who are not our students, who are interested in movies, more and more coming in for the Let's Talk Films talks. We have a Telegram channel. I have posted the link in the chat box. Please join, everyone.
Sure.
And
also, I'll definitely be coming back to attend the future sessions.
Yes. Please add everyone. And I was saying, Princey, we should share the link to all the former speakers, and they should all be part of us if they are willing.
And Hari, please share the list of films that you have pronounced. Like, we'll be discussing that in our film appreciation course. Because there we have very creative and engagement. We watch the classics and then we talk about it. We discuss about it. So there we can discuss these films as well. Okay. So thank you, Hari. Thanks a lot. It has been a very engaging evening.
Have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.